having issues, technical issues. The camera's not mounted on anything other than the visor. I have my mask, the strap for my mask holding it up. Anyhow, just wanted to do a quick update. Got a little note from somebody, one of the viewers, wanting to know what's going on and thanking me for, this channel. Just thought I would go ahead and do a quick broadcast because I've been gone. I've been gone for a while, and the reason I've been gone is I actually kind of am fading a little bit out of social media, kind of by choice, just for privacy and safety issues. But did want to talk a little bit about what's been going on with my life, because I know some of you are curious and also worried, potentially. Just want to let you know that everything's cool, everything's good. Things in my life are starting to go to somewhat normal, although I don't know how normal, I don't even know what normal is anymore. Starting to stabilize, let me put it that way. I'm no longer in survival mode. I'm in like kind of a try to thrive and return to normalcy mode. Trying to get some normalcy back into my life, although it still has some weird stuff going on. But one of the biggest stories though right now, I thought I would take a moment to address is well, I'm jumping all over the place. I haven't been on so long, and I don't even know how to compose live for YouTube. But I'm actually in a house. Yeah, I'm in a house. Fixing that house. And I haven't been broadcasting it because it's kind of boring. Well, I guess boring, or maybe not boring for some people, but for most people, just renovating a house and stuff might be kind of boring content. This house in particular was really... this house in particular was like really, really bad. But, I didn't know if I should run it or not. Maybe I might put it on for some close friends or something so they can follow and see what's going on. But the general public haven't really run her life. And the reason is I've just been kind of shying away from social media. Now that the situation with my life is under control, I think the crisis, if you want to call it that, has been shown how difficult things can be, when you basically, and car doesn't want to speed up. It has like a lot of issues and stuff that don't be resolved, which I kind of worked through it, and now we're kind of at the end of that journey. So, I haven't really been on social media. I haven't been on YouTube that much. Facebook, I'm on a little bit, just close to me. Because it's one of the few moments I have that I can actually sit down and talk for a while, because life's been pretty busy just trying to get the house ready and everything else. But the whole Gabby Petito situation, as founder of the Living in a Van group, I thought I should go ahead and address the situation. There's not really much I can say investigating the situation, but from what I can tell, and from personal experience, living in a van and also traveling a lot, a lot of people are jumping on the boyfriend saying he definitely killed her and stuff, and basically have him crucified already. I tend to think he has some guilt, but if you watch the footage, it's missing. Presumably died. I think it was very telling on what happened. And Gabby and her boyfriend, her fiance, were trying to start up a social media channel, or her YouTube channel, to show van life and basically that whole glamour. Those kind of channels are all over YouTube now. But if anything, if you watch the police video, you see behind the scenes that it's not so glamorous, and that a lot of what you see, because if you also watch her video that she put together, it looks like they're having a blast, they're in love, the trip is awesome, they're seeing all these cool sights, and everything is fantastic. But the reality is that, you know, people, when they're confined to like limited space, like a van or even a small house, 24/7, they tend to drive each other crazy. If you've ever been on a road trip with somebody, then you know what I'm talking about. It's actually kind of hard to find a compatible travel companion, you know, because, or even living in companion. If you live together in a house, at least you can get out and kind of get away from each other. But if you're in a van, which is very confining, 24/7, I mean, you can't even poop without the other person there. So, you know, if you have been following the story, then you kind of caught a glimpse of it when her mom was talking about the texting and stuff, and how it looked like the two of them were starting to have issues. They'd only been out for 2 months. Their journey, you know, they had planned a 4-month journey across the United States, and they'd been out 2 months, and I think that was enough to make them go crazy, you know, and start hating each other. Meanwhile, because, you know, do a YouTube channel, they were having to fake like everything was great and they were in love and this is a fantastic thing to do. My apologies that it keeps cutting out. You know, we are driving and internet is intermittent. But you know, her mother was saying that, you know, the last couple of conversations and texts and stuff between her and her daughter was showing that there was issues between the two of them. And I can understand that, you know. I've traveled across the United States several times, and even with my wife and kids and stuff, it can get kind of nerve-wracking, you know. And that's with staying in a hotel. If you're trying to live in your van and you've never done it before, and you've got a travel companion and the two of you have never done it before, you know, it might be fun for the first month or two, you know, or even the first couple of weeks. But after that, you know, I mean, the reality is it's tough. Getting water, taking a shower, eating, cooking, and then to do it in a confined space. And if you get into a fight, there's nowhere to go. If you live in a van and there's two of you, you sleep in that van and you're in a fight and you're angry at each other, you can't even take that break. You can't even get away from each other. You know, and if you watch the police video, it kind of gives a hint to me what happened. This is Denoy's theory on what happened. You know, they got Paul was driving erratically, and it had been reported by other people at the park. They had seen fighting, and they thought it was a domestic issue. You know, and some people were saying they saw the man hitting the woman. Other people were saying they didn't see the man hitting the woman, and they saw the woman hitting the man. Okay. Now, according to the story from Gabby herself and her fiance, she was the aggressor. And that's why the police ended up not arresting her, even though had that been in Florida, they would have arrested her. Or they probably might have let her go because it was a girl. I know, I was in a domestic situation, and I won't get into that whole thing. But, you know, when they get called for domestic violence, they got to arrest somebody. But in their case, they didn't arrest anybody. But had they arrested Gabby, who was found at fault on that police video, she might still be alive right now, because had they arrested her, she probably would have had contact her parents and they would have gotten her home. But what happened is, because they didn't want to make a big deal of it, you know, I guess they just separated for 24 hours somehow and then got back together. But of course, you know, the tension, the issue was still there. And if you had heard what the boyfriend said, which I think is what actually happened, when the fight broke out that caused, you know, that situation when they got pulled over by the police, he tried to get away from her. You know, he was trying to get some space. And he was like threatening to lock her out of the van. Trying to lock her out of the van and possibly drive off. And some of you are like, you know, he's a crazy nut and a killer or whatever. And I agree with you that, you know, he's probably responsible for her death. But it's not the way people might think. You know, I think think what happened is when they got back together, they got into a fight, and he probably ended up locking her out of the van and drove off, which would be pretty much sentencing her to death. We're talking about being out in the middle of nowhere, okay? And, you know, that shows you some of the dangers you face as a van dweller or a traveler going out to the desert and into these national parks and stuff. You don't have a vehicle, you don't have water, you not last more than 2 or 3 days. 2 days, and you're probably dead from dehydration if the animals don't get you. So, I suspect they got into a fight, and he drove off and left her at the camp. I don't know if he went back. If he drove off for a day, could be enough for her to something to happen. That's what I think happened. And, you know, then he came back home. Now, the situation with the parents, this is in Florida. You know, Florida has all these weird things. For those wondering where it is, it's on. So, the parents and them, you know, I'm like, okay, the two of them went off. He comes back by himself. Nobody's questioning that. You know, but I think probably nothing wrong with her when he left. But leaving her in the wilderness, it shows you, though, when you watch her video, she put together, I think they only have like a couple of videos she put together for social media, you know, for YouTube. And it makes the van life look like they were having a blast and all this stuff, but meanwhile, behind the scenes, they'd been fighting, you know. And that's normal in any relationship, whether or not you're in a van, you know, but when you're in a van, it's amplified. Everything with living in a van amplifies everything. If you have depression, if you have anxiety, if you have issues getting along with one another, it amplifies when you're in a van in a confined space, because like even taking a dump is an issue, you know, trying to go to the bathroom, being able to sleep very comfortably is an issue, you know. So all that gets amplified. And I think for the two of them, what should have happened was when they started not getting along, it was probably time to turn around and come home, you know. They wanted to push it, I guess, because of the social media, you know, trying to grow a channel, trying to become popular, become well known, you know, and it meant faking it, and doing that put them into a worse situation because it ended up in how it ended up, and it's still an ongoing thing. Now, as far as the boyfriend, you know, I don't know if you heard the news, and they were talking about the car that they found. The parents said they found the car that he drove to the park or whatever, the wilderness, and then the neighbor says, no, that car hasn't moved in 3 or 4 days, and, you know, it's been sitting there the whole time. So I don't know if the parents are now in trouble because they might have lied and covered up. As far as where the boyfriend is, I don't know. I think, you know, honestly, I think he might have ran away, possibly to another country by now. And some people think he offed himself, potentially, but I don't think he did. Because had done that, I don't think he would have been the type that would have came home first. You know, I think if he realized it and been ashamed of what happened and what he did, you know, he would have ended himself right then and there, you know, not come home and get an attorney and all this other stuff. The fact that he's getting an attorney and all these things means he doesn't want to die. Although that's what he kind of sentenced his fiancée to. So that's my thought on the whole thing. I feel sorry for both families, basically. You know, they were just young kids, basically, young adults. And, you know, I think they fell for the glamorous life that they always see portrayed on social media and YouTube and wanted to be a part of it. And, you know, didn't realize, anyone who's actually lived in a van knows what I'm talking about. And if you've traveled across the country with a spouse even, then you know what I'm talking about, you know. It's hard being together with somebody 24/7 in a confined space. It really pushes your limits. Now, as far as social media, the other ills of social media, I was just, looking through YouTube, and it showed this one thing that they said. I don't know if it was YouTube or Facebook, but it said that there was this one lady who had her son faking crying on for a video because she wanted to make him cry for the video to get more views because their pet or whatever was sick. I guess that's some kind of disease or something. And she accidentally uploaded the unedited video, which shows her telling the kid how to cry so that it would look really sad, so that they would garnish a lot of views. The lady had like 500,000 followers on YouTube. But, then when the flack came back from that because of people catching her in a lie, she deleted her accounts and said, she's going to focus on her kid. But, it just shows you the ills or the evil of social media and what people do. And then people eat that stuff up. They love watching, fake stuff. The things that make it look like it's glamorous or that it's awesome or it's super sad or a big deal or not a big deal or whatever, it's faked. People don't like real channels or channels that show the real stuff, because the real stuff is usually not pleasant. And those are just my thoughts on it. And those of you who actually live in a van, then you already know all this stuff because you've experienced it firsthand. Those of you who've traveled there with somebody, like on a long distance road trip, no matter how great you thought the trip would be, it ends up being, rough. And just amplify it by being stuck in a van, a tiny little van, for 2 months, and you got another 2 months to go. And you can kind of understand the situation. Now, I don't justify what happened with the boyfriend. I think what he did was wrong. I don't even know what happened at this point or where he is. I think that eventually, if they ever find him, but trying so hard to be glamorous, to try to, parents were saying she even got a drone and all this stuff. I never got a drone. I never got all that stuff because I never really tried to promote living in a Bible. I think that there's nothing wrong with living the glamorous van life if you got the money and you got the time to travel and see the country. It's a great way to do it if you can do it. And if you have a partner, that's even better. But if anything, I hope this case with Gabby brings to light, what can happen. Because if you've ever been in a fight with somebody, then you know that your brain doesn't work right. When you're in a fight, your brain's just firing shit all over the place. What is it called? Neurons just firing. And you might not exactly think clearly. That's how people get hurt or even killed, is when they get in an argument and the brain doesn't work right. It messes up your thinking. And I think that's what happens with the boyfriend, and he wanted to get away, is what I think, personally. If they ever find him, I'm pretty sure that's what's going to come out, is that when he left, he was alive. Does that make him guilty? I don't know. I think it does, in the sense that, you leave someone in the desert, what do you expect to happen? But those are my thoughts. I am going to go ahead and sign out because I have too much of my own personal situation. But just know that I'm doing a lot better right now. I'm working still at the space agency. It's actually one of the best jobs, I've ever had as a janitor. It's crazy. I think if more people saw what it was like working as a janitor, it's like one of the best jobs in the world. I guess it depends on where, though. Like if you work as a janitor at Walmart or at the school or something, it might be rough. But if you work at a government facility or something, it's a little bit better because, I don't really have overtime. I don't do overtime. I have fixed days that I work. So I work, 5 days a week. They have benefits and stuff now that I'm full-time. Everybody leaves me alone. They let me do my job. And, if I don't do my job, very menial. It's like minimal. My brain I don't have to use much. I just clean, I just make sure everything's clean and everything's stocked. So it's one of the best jobs ever. And it's allowing me right now to try to reset my life, and still planning on going to Thailand, although changes have occurred on my plans, and maybe I'll talk more about that another time. But for now, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I want to thank you all for joining me. Just want to let you all know I am good. I want to thank all of you who send me little notes and stuff to let me know, that you care. They do mean something to me. I don't know if I'd still be around if it wasn't for this YouTube channel and the people on here that have contacted me and let me know that they appreciate the content and basically understand that I'm sharing reality. So until next time, everyone, take care. God bless you all. I hope you're all staying safe. I hope everybody is taking COVID seriously and taking whatever precautions you need to stay safe. Don't let the political stuff get you into a situation where you're gonna regret. It seems like that's going right now too. I'm in Florida where all this shit's going crazy. People are getting infected left and right, and people are dropping. If you have family friends that are in the hospital that have to work as a hospital worker, they can tell you firsthand how bad it is. And it's mostly young people now. So take it seriously. Take the precautions you need. So until next time, everyone, take care. God bless you all. Stay safe. And remember, most of what you see on social media, don't fall for it. It's hype. Take care, everybody. God bless you all. Bye-bye now.